had like a little realisation the other day, because when I was younger, I was never like really into fairies and stuff, but I used to see ghosts, and I was never into fairies, but I probably believed they existed and stuff. And I once went to my friend's house and she was like, "Oh my God, Gab, I've been writing letters to the fairies and they've been writing back." And I was just like so excited, and I was reading the letters and I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't wait to go home and try it myself and write them a letter myself. And so like I was really excited, and then I went home and like I told my family about it and stuff. And then when I was at home, it was like tea time, and I went downstairs and I went to go into the toilet, and I caught my sister in the toilet with a friend, and they were writing the letter back from the fairies to me. And I was so gutted, because like then I was like, right, so it doesn't exist and it's not real. Like it's actually just like her mum that was writing the letters back, and it was just my sister writing the letters back. And I was absolutely just so gutted. Like I can't tell you how like gutted I was. And it wasn't like I was really mad into fairies. So thinking about it now, I just think there was something more, and this is what I was going to tell you about. So you know Santa Claus, Father Christmas, Father Christmas, yeah, he's portrayed to be quite like God, in the way that he's like this old man with like a white beard and white hair, and he's like a father figure like God is, like Father Christmas, Father of the Christ, like Father of the Christ is God, isn't it? So there's like these kind of subconscious things that make you feel like Father Christmas is like God, and if you're good he'll treat you good, and if you're bad then like he'll give you coal. And I think that God only ever really punishes you or like teaches you lessons in the way of trying to turn you to the light and just trying to give you a reflection of what you've been creating yourself. So I'm not saying that like God's evil and he punishes you and gives you coal, but there's a lot of like similarities of Santa Claus to God. And I wonder whether children still have this connection to spirit when they're like young. Like a lot of people talk about like kids having imaginary friends and seeing ghosts and stuff, and I think that every child is born, well, we're all born with a strong sixth sense, and then our diets and our lifestyle and stuff turns that down and shuts that down, and like fear shuts it off and things like that. And people saying, oh no, it's just an imaginary friend, it's not real, it all shuts off your psychic abilities. And I think that kids have a strong connection with God when they're first born and they first come here, and they remember the spirit world, they remember God. And then I think what happens is they have this thing of Santa Claus, and like Santa is like this old man, he's going to treat you well, and it reminds them of God. And then when they find out that Santa isn't real, I wonder whether it's like quite a traumatic experience for them, because when this whole fairy thing, it wasn't just like, oh, the fairies don't write your letters. It was like, oh, the fairies aren't real. And I think that's what hurts so much, is my soul like knew that they were. My soul knew I had a connection with them. My soul knew about the spirit world and stuff. But then consciously, it felt like, looking back, it feels like it was like a moment where that tie between me and the spirit world got severed and cut. Like, you know, when you're here and you're like unsure and you're uncertain, and then you're sure there's a spirit world, and then like more and more things are telling you there isn't, and they cut these cords, and basically it turns out maybe that there isn't a spirit world, maybe God doesn't exist, maybe the fairies don't exist. And I just wonder whether these moments in life, like finding out Santa isn't real, and Santa might subconsciously on a soul level reflect God, it might just be these ties, these trauma ties that get severed and get cut for children, because Santa might reflect God, and because the fairies for me reflected like the spirit realm, and that there's more things and stuff. And it's almost just like, I just wonder whether it's more traumatic because on a soul level it makes you feel like maybe God doesn't exist, and maybe this is all that there is and stuff, because you come here, it's like a strange dream. You come here and you forget about everything else before, and then if you're unsure and then you find out stuff like that, it's probably even harder. And I'm not saying pretend kids that Santa exists forever then. What I'm thinking is, do we need the Santa figure? Why don't we just replace it back with God again? Like, God will treat you, he'll give you gifts, like, if you are good, and his love is what we strive for. So